People of Reddit, what was the most NSFW event you ever stumbled upon in high school? I was a DLDO peddler for a while at school. Girls who wanted SX toys but didn't want to buy them themselves, or couldn't, would pay me the cost and a bit extra for me to get it for them simply because I had no shame as a 17-year-old. Went to a Christian boarding school. You'd be surprised the amount of fingers in vaginas during chapel. My high school had to ban blankets after 2 freshmen were caught having SX under one in the middle of the art hallway. I walked into a bathroom after a fight. Broken mirror, blood smeared on the wall and floor, water everywhere, probably unrelated to the fight, and a lot of bloody tissues in the sink. Oh, and there was a turd in the urinal. I hope that was unrelated to the fight. The dudes from the class where I was from before I changed classes started doing group masturbating sessions in the locker room before or after PE. That tea smelled like rotten oysters after. Like if you've done this before with your homies. A freshman got jerked off by his girlfriend under the table in the cafeteria. During lunch, someone sitting near them noticed was happening, took a video, and posted it online. The administration quickly found out. The video was taken down, and all 3 involved were suspended. I ran cross country in high school. Sometimes during practice we would run through trails in the woods surrounding the high school. One day right after school ended we started running down the trails and stumbled upon 2 students having SX. High school bus hit a deer. Police were called. Deer was shot 3 times in front of the bus to put it down. Watched it from the parking lot while skipping school. We had to go outside for a physics experiment, but on the way from the classroom to the field, there was a bloody trail, because a girl had just been stabbed in the bathroom and run to the nurse. She'd moved to the country less than a month prior, gotten mixed up with some shady people, and a 14-year-old hid in the bathroom stall before jumping out and trying to stab her in the face. She put her arms up and only had superficial injuries, but she never came back. Poor girl had PTSD last time I checked. 8th grade SX ed. Teacher showed us a video of a woman giving birth. Very close shots. Very graphic. Very disturbing to most 8th graders. Weird kid in the class tucks his arms into his shirt and starts jerking off to the fully dilated vagina being shown on the 200-inch projector screen. I'm very sure some guy will make a video about this post with a robotic voice. We had a girl who would sit in the back of the bus and seemed to always have a different dude sit next to her. Turns out she was giving guys hand jobs for a small price. School is all about learning a trade. Had a guy run through the school completely naked. High school by the way. Even ran up and slapped some teacher's ass. The seniors in the photography class got caught banging in the dark room. Used condom left wrapped around the tap on the sink in the boys' toilets. A week later it was still there. Me and 3 others found a SX dungeon underneath the auditorium in the back storage room. The girl who ran it was a junior who ducked a good portion of the football team there. There was a bucket filled quart away with used condoms. Fun day. Legend has it that a guy in my sophomore or junior year used to sit next to his GF and get handjobs during English class. My friend got a few handjobs in seminary. A sophomore at my school gave a freshman a donut filled with cum. He got criminal charges. Edit. I have no idea what the charges were. I do know that he got fired from his job and expelled. I don't know much else besides the sophomore was dating the freshman's friend. Also, walked into a bathroom after school and found a guy and a girl about to go to town. She had her shirt off and skirt up. He had his pants on. I caught them just before the moment of insertion. I said nothing. I would have left them to it. Except all other bathrooms on campus except this one were always locked shortly before last bell. So I silently walked to a urinal. Calmly did my business. Properly washed my hands. By the time I went to leave, The girl was hiding in a stall and the guy was waiting by the door. I shrugged at the guy. Guy shrugged back. I left and heard the door lock behind me. Not one of us said anything or made a sound during the entire exchange. Edit. For everyone calling it a power move, I appreciate it. But I just didn't wanna have to pee in the bushes. We always threw house parties at my friend's house. One day I went to grab my jacket from one of the rooms and I heard some moaning and groaning, so I thought it was just a couple hooking up. I flipped the lights on BC. I couldn't find my jacket and saw that 3 of the track girls were butt naked, finger banging and eating each other out. Instead of just standing there and watching or trying to participate, my nerdy high school self said hi, waved, and said have fun, as I walked out, giving them privacy. Later on that year, I ended up dating one of the girls and would always try to mention it and maybe try to get a threesome going. Never happened though. She said it was just a drunk moment. One guy flashing his DCK at the teacher, and also one dude was caught in the bathroom giving a blowjob. At least he got a sweet holofoil Clefairy card out of it. We had 2 people ducking under the band bus in the mud at a contest. There was a kid. We will call him CB. He was notoriously a bad kid. Always in fights, getting kicked out of school, etc. Anyways, his locker wasn't next to mine, but it was really close. He and I never had problems because I purposefully avoided him. One day another kid, we will call A, C, and CB, got into an argument. It led to a pushing and shoving match and some shitty talking, but got separated really quickly. The next day A, C, was walking past our lockers and CB pulled a literal crowbar out of his locker, ran up behind A, C, and hit him in the back of the head so hard that blood hit me in the face. Part of A, C's scalp literally half folded over the back of his head as he was on the floor. CB started hitting him in the back and the back of the head with it. Other students jumped on him and held him down. An ambulance took A, C, to the hospital. His skull was fractured and he had broken ribs. I had to get checked out because of the blood exposure. No idea where CB went, but I never saw him again. No one thought it would be a bad idea for the cross-country team to have thin white uniforms until we had a race in a thunderstorm. So many flashbacks of penises swaying with each stride. Not really NSFW, just my most vivid HS memory. It was the biggest poop I'd ever seen. Just one huge log. To my memory the size of the toilet bowl. It definitely didn't fit down the hole and had to be removed by a janitor. Everyone told their friends about it and one by one we all went and checked it out. Also no toilet paper in the bowl. All that was there was the one big fat legendary turd. It physically hurts me to think about how it came out of a butthole. Edit. I would just like to add that I am touched and humbled by all of your poo-related stories. In this time of division and opposition, let us all remember we are united by poo. Friend of mine got with our art teacher. I went to a small party at my friend's house. My girlfriend and I got there late. We went in and noticed nobody was in the living room. Weird. They said they'd be here. Start walking to the back and I could hear several voices in the bedroom. I just opened the door and there were 7 of my friends just having a casual orgy. Not me specifically, but 2 kids in my Catholic high school ducked in the bathroom and someone caught them and videotaped it. They posted it online. Our school made the news and now they measure girls' skirts if they look too high, as well as banning phones. Wow. What an idiot. What happened to the dummy who produced, possessed, and distributed child pornography? In middle school the health teacher went to show a video on the projector and I guess he had PRN on his video player. He offered everyone A's to keep quiet. He was fired, then went to work for a Catholic school. He was fired and then went to work for a Catholic school. Now I understand everything else in this thread. This was junior high, but one kid who we suspected was gay gave another kid who we did not suspect was gay a blowjob in the bathroom stall. And for what? A holofoil Clefairy Pokemon card. Gotta catch 'em all. I went to a boarding school my freshman year of high school, and a few weeks in, I volunteered to help walk our librarian's dog for her while her leg was healing after an injury. So I was walking this huge dog through the woods around campus when he suddenly sniffed the air and just ripped the leash out of my hands and took off into the underbrush. I started chasing after him when I heard screaming and yelling. I thought, oh god, this dog mauled someone and I'm going to get expelled. Broke through a clearing and there were 5 half-naked upperclassmen trying to put their clothes on and scatter while this dog is joyously barking and jumping up on and licking them. TLDR accidentally interrupted an orgy in the woods with my librarian's dog. Edit. I guess since so many people are asking. Yes, it was a co-ed school and yes, both SZs were represented. Went to teacher's room to get some papers that my Portuguese teacher had forgotten and stumbled at my gym and biology teachers kissing each other really hard over the meeting table. I mean, they didn't even notice me. And oh, it was a Catholic shul, and they were both married BTW. My face when I returned to class without the papers must have been priceless. Edit. I'm usually more of a lurker myself here, so wasn't expecting this amount of attention. Hahaha, thanks for all folks. A girl freshman went viral on Snapchat because the guy she was giving head to recorded her and said it was terrible during the recording. I go to Catholic school and besides a teacher pedophilia scandal every year, I'm not kidding. The kid that played the Pornhub intro on the drums that is spreading around the internet happened at my school. I'm a teacher who teaches in a high school. First day on the job, had 2 kids beaten cheeks in the back of one of my shop cars. Should specify I'm an automotive teacher. Beating cheeks is a euphemism for running away. Where I am from. Okay, 2 stories, one NSFW but still messed up. Janitor in elementary school died while mopping the floor and somehow this didn't get around the entire school and my entire class saw them taking his covered up body out the front door. Another is walking in on several people giving BJS in the band room. It became a daily thing and I should have known to also knock on the practice room doors before entering. We had many PCS in our school, and every computer room had a projector. So once when the teacher was ill and no replacement came, we were in that room. Someone started the projector and quickly found out that every PRN site he tried is blacklisted. But playing from USB apparently works fine. We later found out, not only are the connections whitelisted, but also fully monitored. Not long after the movie show with sound and everything started, the IT tech guy comes with a substitute teacher. That internet search history was apparently enough for them to suddenly have a substitute teacher for us. Edit. For anyone interested, we were around 16 or 18 males if I recall correctly and 4 girls in class. I can't remember how many were there that day. I like that he was casually walking around school with a flash drive of PRN. Was walking around outside my high school and saw a dude leaning up against a wall getting a blowjob. They didn't see me, so I quietly turned around and walked away. Girl gave a blowjob to a guy and his friends filmed it. It was the talk of the school and she changed schools. 2 years later she came back and sucked a different guy's DCK by the same dumpster. No one filmed it this time. Some kid at a party got blackout wasted and shat himself. In the middle of the crowd he took his pants down and slipped in it. Proceeded to army crawl to try and make it out but just smeared it everywhere. He is still known as the party pooper. In band before a football game, I walk into the percussion room to hang with the homies. Everyone is huddled around this dude in the corner of the room laughing. So of course I walk over to check it out. Turns out the dude was showing everyone how tiny his DCK is and everyone was so fascinated. Yet it was really small. Like from the tip of your pinky to the first knuckle down. I've never seen anything like it, lol. Edit. I know it called a micropenis. LMFAO. Sounds normal. A creepy 45-year-old teacher was caught watching PRN twice by the same girl, and both times it was a Braves fetish and a schoolgirl thing, and the girl that caught him wore skirts and had braces. No, he was never fired or even talked to after going to the board, and yes, this is public school. Freshman year of high school. Football team is out practicing. A senior varsity player came into the freshman locker room, cut all the locks off our lockers, and stole our clothes. Nice enough to take wallets and phones etc out of pockets and leave them in the lockers though. Idiot didn't realize the hallway cameras had him the whole time. Most of us chose not to shower until we got home, and as a team proceeded to leave in groups in undershirts and boxers or no shirts and boxers after getting a call our rides were there. Small town. Small school. So ultimately he was just benched for a few games, suspended for a day or two, and his parents had to buy a bunch of padlocks. Edit. Rip inbox. Thanks so much. In middle school, some kids walked in and started having sex in the stall next to me while I was pooping. Eventually they smelled my presence. Gotta assert your dominance. When I was in middle school, someone jerked off and finished on his desk in the middle of class. The story is legend in our area, and it's been retold so many times that it's hard to figure out what actually happened after he finished. So I'll give you each ending I've heard from different people. 1. He finished and it shot across his desk onto the girl's hair in front of him. 2. The teacher heard something happening, went over and saw it on the desk and put her finger in it. 3. He just cummed over himself and got kicked out of class. He got suspended and a few years later got caught peeing outside and put on the sex offenders list. The guy is really funny and pretty chill now. He has a lot of stories about him and they are all amazing. It's weird that it was him peeing outside as opposed to him masturbating in class that got him put on the sex offender list. What kinda schools do y'all go to, LMAO? Middle school boy in the shower fully tucked doing a dance. Not me, but a few freshmen encountered sophomores having sex on a hill my school had for cross country and I think football. And then someone marked that hill on Google Maps. I heard my parents having sex during math class. I am homeschooled. People snorting crushed up pills in the bathroom right off of the sink. This was in the early 2000s. Girl at my HS my sophomore year got caught eating a guy's ass in the theater by our principal. Fresh jizz on a locker room bench. A kid pulled his pants down in Spanish class and P said in the corner. A kid with a mental handicap who would vigorously masturbate in AP political science at least once a week. Edit. One day in AP Poli C. The kid with Asperger's sat alone in a row of empty chairs all closely placed together directly in front of the teacher. In the middle of class. He reclined across 4 adjacent seats and went to work in his pants. At my angle, I could see everything. The tent. His forearm pistoning up and down. The veins in his neck. He stuck out his tongue and curled his toes. Taunting us like that for 5, maybe 10 seconds. Before the teacher shouted at him. This kid did weird shit, but he was in a number of my AP classes and, I think, legitimately earned his way. He carried our team's ass in AP Brit Lit junior year during in-class Jeopardy games. And way too many of y'all shared this sing in Spanish class experience for us to be in the same class. What's going on out there? What happens in the locker room should stay in the locker room. With that said, I once walked in on a kid shoving a crucifix up his ass on a dare from his friends. Holy shit. A bunch of kids did the deed under the bleachers during a pep rally. Drugs. A guy and a girl got caught doing an L in the hallways in a neighboring school. Why the duck would anyone do it in a hallway? Lights stay on at homecoming because people will have sex on the bleachers. No blankets for obvious reasons. On every field trip someone gets fingered on the bus. Teachers have learned not to look into cars before school. I live in the Midwest though, so there's not much else to do. Edit for the punctuation. I'm normally a grammar Nazi, but I'm using mobile on a new phone and it seemed like it was punctuated right at the time I posted it. Does anyone use periods in the Midwest? The janitor didn't cordon off the area when someone spilled a large half-gallon of milk. One student ran into cafeteria, slipped and busted his butt. The janitor was suspended for 1 day. Sex education. Nothing really ever happened at my school. I went to a private Christian school, so the most NSFW it got was a quickened yeah, that's where the penis goes. A lesbian orgy in the girls' bathroom edit. A student masturbated in front of the ducking teacher. A bunch of guys from the athletics class got mad at a kid from mine for cheating during dodgeball, so they walked into the locker room ducking naked and whipped him with towels. I just walk in and see someone's dong flopping around like a corrupted body part in a PS1 game before he leaps off the bench and goes apeshti on the guy. I note the duck out and waited in the hallway with everyone else. Before anyone asks why didn't I or anyone else help. The coaches were nowhere to be found and we were scrawny freshmen against football and wrestling players in good shape. The guy eventually comes out drenched in sweat, calls us assholes, then kicked one of our backpacks. In secondary school. This was in the 90s. 2 people were caught having sex behind the curtain on the gym stage by the master of custodial arts, or janitor. If you want to be a DCK about it. He said hi to both and walked out. Dave was cool. A junior boy filmed 2 sophomore girls having sex and, of course, he made copies and passed them around. One copy landed in the dean's hands and she called both girls and their parents in and ducking watched IT. There were definitely girls snorting coke in the bathrooms. Teachers choking out and punching kids. You know, the usual. Apparently a senior last year got a blowjob in the cafeteria during lunch. Then afterwards stood up in front of everybody, DCK hanging out, and yelled I'm the king of the world. This is NSFW in a different way than most of the stories here. But when I was in high school I liked to go to the balcony of our theater to take naps during my free periods. It was dark, quiet, and usually empty, which made it such an ideal spot for napping. One day I walk up the stairs and see a girl from the grade below me that I sort of knew cutting herself with scissors. She freaked out and ran away. I eventually caught up with her and we had an intense conversation. We became friends after that day and I encouraged her to start seeing a therapist, which helped her a lot. Unfortunately, we lost touch when her parents moved to a different state and sent her to some boarding school. A guy hanging from the theater rafters by one arm. One of the popular kids who rode my bus got caught whacking it with his sister's panties by his buddy who also rode our bus. His time of bus dominance immediately came to a screeching halt.